She grew up on a dusty road with an empty wallet and a broken watch. One night she saved 182 lives from the sky. The next morning, an F-22 echoed her call sign. Meet Emily Jackson. The town had one street and two ways out. Both were cracked. Dust hung in the air like old linen. Trucks coughed past and forgot where they were going. Emily Jackson never forgot. She wore a broken watch that didn't tick. It had been her father's. A factory shift had snapped the stem years ago. He said it was fine. Time was money, and they were short on both. Her wallet knew the truth first. It learned to stay empty. She studied contrails instead of clouds. Jets drew white stitches across a blue wound, and she watched the sky heal. Her mother folded shirts at midnight. Her father counted bills twice and still came up short. Everyone was tired. No one looked up. Emily built a cockpit from scrap. Plywood, a wobbly chair, a joystick with a missing rubber grip, a monitor rescued from the school dumpster. It hummed and sparked like it wanted to be something better. She ran the dirt track before dawn. Breath sharp, shoes gray with dust. Lap after lap, she read after dark. Aerodynamics, emergency procedures, pages swollen with heat and hope. At the diner, the neon open flickered. Someone said the Air Force was for kids with names on buildings. Someone else laughed at the idea of a girl in a fighter. Emily chewed cold fries and wrote equations on a napkin. The pen cut through grease and doubt. Her guidance counselor pushed forms across a desk and pulled them back again. Be realistic, he said she was. She knew the town's gravity. She also knew escape velocity. The application to the academy felt like throwing a paper airplane at the moon. She wrote the essay in one sitting. Not about glory. About work. About the broken watch and why she didn't need it to measure time. About the empty wallet and why it didn't measure worth. About the dusty road and why it was only a runway with the wrong name. A retired colonel lived beyond the grain silos. He limped. His yard was neat. He spoke like a checklist. Why do you want this? He asked. Because the sky doesn't talk down to me, she said. He didn't smile. He showed up the next morning with a stopwatch and no pity. Again, he said whenever she faltered. Again, when her legs shook. Again, when the simulator spun red and she lost fake engines over fake mountains. He taught her to breathe on the beat between panic and action. He taught her to speak when others yelled. She sent the forms. She waited. She worked to mute the waiting. The letter arrived on a Wednesday that smelled like rain but didn't deliver any. Her mother stood at the sink with a towel. Her father set a coffee cup down and didn't pick it up again. Emily slit the envelope with a butter knife. Paper rasped. The broken watch on her wrist caught a slice of sun and flashed. The town inhaled. She read the first word. The porch light popped and went dark. A tire screamed somewhere on the one street. And from far overhead a jet carved a thin white line across the day. She looked up. The letter trembled in her hands. Then the kitchen window shook, and a voice from the road shouted her name like an alarm. The academy lifted out of the plain like a promise spelled in concrete. Mountains stood behind it, stern and quiet. Emily stood straighter because they did. The morning started early. Boots, bunks, breaths counted like currency. Upper-class cadets spoke in thunder and precision. Mistakes had volume. You could hear them. She learned to take heat without burning. A locker was for order. A bed was for speed. A formation was a sentence where every comma mattered. Classes stacked like weight. Flight dynamics, systems, strategy compressed into acronyms. She ate in minutes and studied in hours. Her phone slept for weeks. On day 9, she hung the broken watch inside her locker. It stared back at her, stopped at 3:17. Time wasn't moving, and somehow that calmed her. The mountain didn't move either. Not everything had to. The simulator asked hard questions. She answered with her hands. Engine 2 failed in black air. She set feather, stabilized, and talked to the airframe like it could hear faith. Alarm screamed. She didn't. She narrated steps in a voice that held the room still. After, an instructor tapped the console with a knuckle. Where'd you learn that tone? He asked. On a dusty road, she said. People listen when you don't waste their time. The other cadets tried her and tired of failing to shake her. Room jokes bounced. She let them. She stayed late in the bay and memorized failure modes until they felt like old songs. One night the runway lights blinked like a heartbeat. The field went quiet. A night exercise. 4 trainers up. 1 chase plane behind, stars sharp as cut wire. At 19,000 feet, the radios turned to gravel. Static 8 syllables. A wingman's voice broke. Losing, alt, instruments. Failing. Another cadet started to talk over him. Then another. Faster. Louder. Fear filling the gaps like water. Emily clicked the mic. One at a time, she said. Her voice didn't rise. You slow your descent. Backup's on. Level at 10. Everyone else shut up and breathe. Silence landed. Then a reply. Copy. She stayed on frequency like a lighthouse stays lit. Step by step. No showy words. No hero talk. Numbers. Angles. Calm. On the ground, the hangar smelled like hot rubber and relief. They flipped the lights on and off, a happy habit no one admitted to. Someone said, "We heard a voice." Someone else said, "More like an echo." It stuck to her like oil. Echo. She didn't ask for it. That's how you earn one. The next week the syllabus sharpened. Formation drills, tech turns, fuel like a moving target. She learned to read the sky's shoulders. She learned that trust isn't a speech. It's a vector. The colonel sent a postcard with 2 words. Stay small. She knew what he meant. No swagger, no waste. Let the work be the noise. Her wallet was still empty. Scholarships filled the space where money should have been. She saved the cafeteria bread rolls for later. She mailed half her stipend back home on Thursdays and didn't mention it. The broken watch ticked once in a storm and then slept again. She took that as a good omen, not proof. By spring, she had flown enough to dream in checklists. A T6 trainer shivered under her hands and then settled. She touched down light. She taxied straight. The instructor wrote 1 line on her form. Calm under fracture. On a clear afternoon, they put the formation into a box of bad. Simulated threats. Fuel tight. The kind of plan that turns to ash if one thing drifts. A voice from tower cut out mid-syllable. Then the horizon went wrong. A thermal lifted the lead and shoved the element low. The radio turned to teeth. Her mic clicked. Break 2 anchor. 3 climb. 4 you're with me. She read the air like it had handwriting. They came home with fuel that could fit in a spoon. In the debrief, an instructor leaned back and drummed fingers on his kneeboard. He didn't smile. He didn't need to. Echo, he said. Next hop, your flight lead. She nodded once. That night, the mountain wore stars like metals Emily didn't trust. She touched the broken watch. 3:17, her roommate rolled over and said, half asleep, "What if you mess it up tomorrow?" Emily lay still. Then the phone on the wall rang after midnight. No one calls after midnight unless the world is about to tilt. Deployment felt like stepping onto a moving train. Noise everywhere. Orders like arrows. The sun did its work without mercy. Her F-22 carried its own kind of quiet. Power tucked under a wing. Silence pressed into shape. Night patrol. Thin moon. Desert black and honest. She liked that about it. At 30,000 feet, the world is a map you can smell. Fuel farms. Hot tarmac. A border drawn by a hand that didn't love people. The radio cracked. Then a voice bled through it. Mayday. Falcon Transport 7. Engine 2 failed. Losing altitude, her hands did not shake. They had learned better. Falcon 7, echo on station, she said. I have you. 2 words that mean more than they say. Souls on board? She asked. The answer came like a stone dropped in water. 182. The number took a seat behind her and buckled in. She checked her radar. Big body to the northeast, C-17 with a limp. Altitude bleeding. Fuel flow ugly. She pushed throttle. Steel surged. The desert rolled below a dark sea without patience. Falcon 7, eyes on me, she said. Ease your pitch. See the backup needle. Read it out. A co-pilot's voice wobbled. Reading. Unstable. We're not holding. You will, she said. Slow is smooth. Smooth stays alive. Command took a breath and asked for coordinates. Airfields flickered in the system like fireflies you try to catch. Closest strip looked short. The other options were longer and too far away for a plane that was leaking courage. She ran the math fast. Not pretty, possible. Falcon 7 bearing 090. 80 miles. You'll see it late. Don't chase the glide. Let it come to you. Copy, the pilot said, and the word kept breathing. She slid up beside them. Wingtip close. Close enough to see faces she would never meet. Close enough that her calm could be a mirror. The number 182 sat behind her, silent and loud. Altitude unwound. 17, 15, 14. Fuel danced in the lines like a bad idea. Hydraulics jealous and weak. Backup systems on, she said. Don't fight her. Ride the wobble. You'll want to fix it fast. Don't. Small inputs, the desert rose. The airfield refused to show itself. Everything late. Everything tight. At 12,000, the crew found breath. We've got smoke in the cabin, someone said. Vent it, Emily said. Everything you don't need goes quiet now. Everything you need you touch once and believe. Her radar pulsed. Blips to the west. Hostile patrol curious and getting closer. Not now. She slaved sensors to threat while keeping her voice steady. Falcon 7, how's your right hand? Hot, the pilot said. Feels like it's going to break off. It won't, she said. You will land this airplane. Then you will shake. Not yet. At 9,000, a string of lights appeared out of the black. The runway, short, rough reel, you see it? She asked. We see it, the co-pilot said, and relief made the words wobble. Good. You're high and fast. Bleed it. You'll want to fix power with your heart. Don't use your heart. Use your hand, the transport shuddered. The knight slammed a shoulder into it. The crew held 3 miles, she said. You're a little right. Left 2, good, eyes on the far end. Don't stare at the paint. 1 mile. Half. Gear down like a prayer with weight. Toss the last of your pride, she said. Aim for living, metal met ground. It didn't bow, it fought. Sparks walked the runway. A tire tore. The airplane stayed a single piece. Emergency trucks became bright animals and ran. Emily stayed overhead and counted breaths until the counting got easy. Echo, the transport pilot said finally, voice torn up and whole. We don't have words. Save them, she said. You'll need them later. She turned toward home. The desert loosened its fist, then her radar bloomed. 2 fast movers from the west. Not friendly. She didn't look at the broken watch. She didn't need to know what time it was. She lit the burners and went to meet them. Enemy signatures sharpened like teeth. Old airframes, mean intentions. They saw a wounded transport and something in them smiled. Emily didn't. Control Echo, intercepting, she said. Weapons free. The clearance came back faster than the wind. The first contact climbed to play tall. The second dropped low to cut under radar clutter and come out near the runway. Basic. Deadly. Emily rolled, climbed, inverted, and fell through the dark like a coin that knew heads from tails. Her first lock sang. Missile left the rail like a decision you can't take back. A far flash stitched the sky and went out. 1 red blip was gone, the second blip didn't flinch. It accelerated at the runway. Her chest felt heavy but not crowded. Breathing became math. She closed the distance. Guns solve problems when time goes thin. Tracer fire tore a clean seam. The second aircraft bucked. Shed parts, tried to live, failed. It scattered itself across a patch of desert that didn't care. Skies are clear, she called. Trucks on the runway didn't look up. They were busy keeping people. Good. She climbed and widened her circle. Hunters sometimes hunt in pairs of pairs. Nothing else came. On landing, the world got loud. Hands reached. Voices climbed. Applause tried to be aircraft noise and failed. She nodded at what she had to nod at and slipped past the rest. The debrief room was cold on purpose. Someone played the tape. Radar lines. Altitude numbers. A voice they labeled Echo. Calm, simple, insistent. A major paused the playback and looked at her like she'd disappointed him for not being twice as good. You held a transport together with your voice, he said. And then you went and killed 2 threats. You understand what you just did? I understand 182 people are still breathing, she said. He's the one who nodded. Word moved faster than air. Her name traveled in rooms she would never see. Phones lit in other time zones. A headline grew a spine and walked. She checked her wallet. Still thin, she checked the broken watch. Still stuck, she checked the dusty road of memory. Still there, a little sleep took her. Wake up took the rest. By morning, the base smelled like cameras. Lenses blinked in sunlight. Microphones leaned like nosy neighbors. They wanted a hero. She wanted a checklist. At the podium, she said what belonged to truth. No myth, no swagger coat. I did my job, she said. Crew did theirs. Ground did theirs. That's how you build a landing out of broken parts. Questions chased that line down the tarmac. She let them tire out. After lunch, she walked to the maintenance bay. Her jet stood quiet, panels open, metal luminous in shade. A crew chief touched the intake like it was a forehead. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. Respect can be as quiet as debt. Orders came at dusk. Ceremony tomorrow. Dress blues. A medal. She sighed in a small way. Tradition isn't a choice. It's a handshake with the past. Night fell with the speed of a curtain. The base lights drew neat circles. She sat at her desk. Letters had started arriving already. A child's handwriting. A heavy envelope from a governor's office. A photo of a family's dinner table with all the chairs filled. She put the broken watch beside the photo. The stopped hand pointed at the little boy who had drawn an airplane that looked like a hopeful fish. She slept. The phone woke her. Again. Different voice. Different hour, ma'am, it said, formal and too bright. Tomorrow's ceremony has an addition. You should be on the line at 900. What kind of addition? She asked. Airpower, the voice said, and laughed in a way that belonged to surprise and pride. Morning would answer what midnight couldn't. The stands filled with uniforms and eyes that had not slept much. Families packed the bleachers with flags that flapped like punctuation. Beyond the chain link, the desert waited without clapping. They seated the passengers of Falcon 7 along the front row. 182 chairs. Every chair full. A row that could have been empty. It wasn't. Emily's boots made a hollow sound on the stage. Her name moved through the crowd in a small wave. She felt it wash over her and kept her feet steady. The metal had edges you could feel through fabric. The general spoke clean words. He told the story without dressing it in more than it needed. Calm and fracture, he said at one point, and she thought of the instructor's scrawl. She also thought of the broken watch. Still at 3:17, still commanding no hour. When the ribbon touched her collarbone, she remembered the empty wallet. Mom's grocery list rewritten twice. Gas siphoned from the lawnmower. A neighbor's ride to a test she had to pass. This isn't payment, she thought. This is a receipt. Then the general paused. He nodded to someone she couldn't see. The ground answered first. A low tremor. A metal murmur. From the far end of the runway, 4 F-22s rose like a sentence you wait your whole life to hear. They climbed and drew white on blue. They broke and stitched. They turned the sky into a drum. The lead jet dropped low, fast and full and not shy. It crossed the field and the hangars threw the sound back. Not noise, a call. It bounced from wall to wall and came back word-shaped. Echo. It wasn't letters spoken. It was pressure and thunder given her name. Her throat tightened. She allowed it 1 inch, no more. Tears reached the rim and held. The little girl with a stuffed bear stood in the front row. She lifted the bear as if it were proper to salute with a soft thing. Emily saluted back after hands found her hands. A father squeezed hard. You gave us tomorrow, he said. A woman pressed a photo into Emily's palm. 2 boys in matching shirts. Keep it, she said. You kept them. Reporters swarmed. Commanders nodded. Airmen she didn't know made space for her like she was heavy, and they trusted themselves to carry weight. That evening, when the jets had cooled and the flags had left, the base was a quieter language. She walked the flight line. Her shadow bent long. The desert wind moved grit in gentle lines. Her phone buzzed with new messages. Her name was doing laps around places she had never been. She ignored the buzz and watched a maintenance crew finish a last torque check. An airman wiped his hands and looked up at the quiet Raptor. Ma'am, he said, and his voice carried something unornamented. Anytime you need anything, you just say. Same, she said. Back in her room, she placed the photo of the 2 boys next to the broken watch. The stopped hand looked like it was pointing at their smiles. Time didn't move. Lives did. She let that be enough. She fell asleep to the faint ring of sonic memory. The sky had spoken her name, then kept it. Before dawn, a knock at her door brought the corridor's light around her boots. A runner stood there, breath tight. Eyes up, ma'am. Ops request your presence in the ready room. Ceremonies don't change the speed of trouble. She zipped her flight suit and put the broken watch in her pocket out of habit. It was weight without time. She liked that. The ready room screens were already alive. Maps, vectors. A blinking orange track that felt too familiar. Someone said the word, Mayday. Quiet, like you would say, please. Her headset waited on a chair. She reached for it, and the speakers caught a new voice, thin and fraying, from a sky that didn't know it was the same one she'd saved last night. The voice pleaded from a place she could see and not reach yet. Different aircraft. Different crew, same tone. The edge 1 breath away from braking. Power loss, cabin smoke. Turning east. Any station. Any station would do. She took the mic. Echo, she said. It was identity and instruction. State souls on board. 53, the reply came. Less than yesterday. Enough to be the whole world. She ran through options. Wind positive. Terrain rude. Better runway farther. Short one closer. Weigh it. Choose. Turn 270, she said. Shallow. Don't dive for comfort. Comfort lies. She walked as she spoke. Out the door. Into the morning that hadn't decided how to be. The flight line glowed. Her jet stood ready like a yes. The crew chief jogged up and fell in beside her. He didn't ask. He started a checklist with his mouth. She answered with nods. Up the ladder. Helmet on. Canopy down. The world narrowed to skill and promise. Falcon? Eagle? What's your call sign? She asked the broken voice. Canyon, it said, and she liked that a canyon knows how to echo. Canyon. I'm with you, she said. The phrase tasted right. She pushed forward and the runway blurred to calculus. Airborne, she found them quick. Smoke streamed from a place where quiet should be. They looked slow and fast at once. Fear does that. Attitude, she said. Altitude, airspeed. The 3 words that fix most hurt, they read the numbers. They trusted the order. Good. Keep the nose honest, she said. Honesty lands airplanes. Over the radio, a whisper she almost missed. Are you the Echo? I'm Emily, she said. Echo works too. Silence. Then the pilot laughed once, the kind that rinses a thought and throws it away. Okay, Echo, he said. Tell us how to live, she did. Words spare as rope. She measured each syllable. She gave them exactly what they could hold. Below, a dusty road cut the desert like a scar. It was the same color as the one that raised her. She felt a strange relief. The world repeats. Sometimes it repeats better. She kept one eye on threats. None yet, she kept the other on their rate of descend. Not pretty. Possible. 10 miles out, she saw the short strip they were now married to. It looked like a pencil line someone forgot to press hard enough. Canyon, she said. You're going to hate how this feels for a few seconds. Hate isn't fatal. They came down. They came down again. Wheels found ground, bounced, settled. Trucks became animals again. Good animals, Canyon, break heartbeat, not fear, she said. They did. Silence on the radio. The kind you leave undisturbed, her hands finally shook. The body cashing the check the mind wrote. Back at base, the ready room applauded without standing. They had seen enough to know respect doesn't need height. She peeled off her gloves. The broken watch sat heavy in her pocket. She placed it on the table. It still read 3:17. She thought of 182 yesterday. 53 today. Numbers that refused to be ink. The base commander stepped in. He opened his mouth and then closed it. He picked the watch up and didn't wind it. He set it down again like a relic. Your timing is always right, he said and left. The squadron scheduled another ceremony she didn't ask for. This one smaller. This one inside. The new crew walked in smelling like smoke and apology. They tried to thank her. She let them fail at it. No one can say it right. After she walked alone to the far fence where sand starts telling its version of the truth. The wind brandished tiny knives. She let it cut lines in her thoughts. A truck from town pulled up to the outer road. An old man stepped out. He looked like the colonel would have looked if time had forgiven more. He didn't wave, he stood. He watched the runway. He watched the sky. He left. She crouched and pinched the dust. It felt like all the roads she'd ever run before dawn. She rubbed it into her palms. Now her hands looked like home. Her phone buzzed. Command wanted her tomorrow at 9. Another flight lead check. Another set of younger eyes that would watch her mouth and borrow her tone. She smiled because responsibility, like an echo, doesn't end. It fades and returns, each time a little different, each time the same. The speakers along the line clicked. Maintenance cleared at test. A single F-22 engine spooled, low at first, then rising. The hangars caught it and gave it back. It sounded like a name. She lifted the broken watch to her ear out of habit. Nothing. She didn't need it. Across the apron, her crew chief pointed at a canopy and then at the sky. Question without words, she answered with a nod. Her radio crackled. Static first, then a word with edges. Mayday. She touched the photo of the two boys once, for luck or memory she couldn't tell. She slid it back under the watch. She walked toward the jet. Short steps, no drama. A run after the fourth step. The engine rose. The hangars, whispered her call sign back. And forth until it filled every corner of the base. Echo. She climbed the ladder and pulled the canopy down. The day held its breath, then the runway started reaching for her wheels. And somewhere beyond the far hills, a voice waited to hear what hope sounds like when it learns to fly.